Hello friends, welcome to EPG Pathshala. Today we are going to discuss visualization and representation. And this lecture is a part of your paper on communication research. In the previous lecture, we have familiarized ourselves with the research process and have learned how to collect data through a variety of different ways and then analyze the data. However, our work is not complete at this stage. So, once the data has been collected for a research study, we need to summarize and analyze it and share it with the community of researchers. So, in this lecture, we will learn how to present the findings from this data analysis in effective ways to other researchers. In general, we use three methods to communicate the results of our research to other researchers. We could certainly present them in the form of a PowerPoint or presentation at the conferences. We could create a poster which we can present at a poster session of a research conference, and we could publish it in a peer-reviewed research journal or as a book or as a book chapter. So, in all these forms of communicating the results of a research study, text and visuals play an important role. And in this lecture, we examine the visual component of our research communication, that is, we examine the use of tables, infographics, and data visualization methods such as graphs. So, what is infographics and data visualizations, which call for a unique ability to understand research findings along with the art of creating powerful visuals. Tables. Imagine that we are conducting a survey of 400 respondents using the pen and a paper method. We go out there, meet the respondents, and have them fill the survey questionnaire. Even if the survey questionnaire is extremely short, we will have at least 400 sheets of paper at hand. It will be impossible to share all the information gathered which is in its existing form as completed survey questionnaires. So, as a first step, at a descriptive data analysis level, we can summarize the data into class intervals and present frequency tables. This will certainly reduce our 400 survey forms to a few tables, which will definitely be more manageable, and if all we are interested in is frequencies, then we can certainly stop here. However, the frequency tables are only a preliminary steps and are generally not reported in most research studies. So, our next step will be to use the descriptive statistics, and depending on the level that we have measured the variables, we can report the mean, the median, mode, range, and standard deviation of each of the interval and ratio level variables. We can certainly report the median, mode, and range of ordinal level variables, and can also report the mode of a nominal or categorical level variables. We can present all this information effectively in the form of tables. So, depending on our research question and research design, if we are interested in bivariate or multivariate analysis of the variables, in our next step, we will use the regression models like the ANOVA. We present the results of these regression models in the form of tables with the significant relationships highlighted, generally with asterisks. These tables are normally generated as outputs from statistical software programs like the SPSS, SAS, or RAND, are incorporated in our research papers conference presentations or poster presentations. Either way, we are able to present the information gathered in the 400 survey forms in a summarized, compressed form through tables that take up a very little space. However, while tables are compact and effective at presenting the data in a summary form, there may be much that we are missing when we only look at tables and not at the visual spread of the data. In his book Exploratory Data Analysis, Turkey 1977 observes that the greatest value of a picture is when it forces us to notice what we never expected to see. That is why we go beyond tables and utilize the power of the visual to examine the data closely as well as to share the research results. The most common form of data visualization is the graphs. So let us now discuss what is a graph. At the very basic descriptive level, we can summarize the data collected even if it is for a single categorical variable and present the results in the form of a bar graph. Bar graphs present each category or class interval as an individual bar whose height corresponds to the frequency. Bar graphs can be vertical or horizontal and are popular in newspapers and magazines as well. It must be noted here that in all the graphs, we need to make sure that the title, sample size and category are clearly mentioned to make the visual as effective as possible. So, without these key pieces of information, readers will be left wondering what the figure is about and what the individual bars basically represent. This same information can be presented also in the form of a pie chart, and the size of each section of a pie corresponds to the frequency of the variable for that particular category. And pie charts are a popular way to present descriptive data. So, if we take our sample of 10 television viewers, we calculate their relative frequencies. This gives us the frequency of each category in percentage terms. And converting this into degrees, multiplying by 360 degrees allows us to plot the size of each segment on a circular pie. The pie chart is one of the most common and easily understood graphs in communication research, and we need to make sure that a legend with the details of the categories and their frequencies is present along with the chart title and the sample size for a pie chart to be the most effective one. While bar graphs and pie charts are useful for presenting descriptive data such as frequencies of variables, line graphs are used to present changes in the variable over time. Figure on the screen illustrates a line graph that shows how queued recall changes for two variations of an advertisement, version 1 and 2 vary after a day, week and month after exposure. Bar and line graphs and pie charts are used to present the data relating to individual variables. Scatter plots help researchers to visually examine how bivariate data, that is pairs of variables, are distributed. One variable is plotted along the x-axis and the second is plotted along the y-axis, and the resulting scattering of data points allows the researcher to eyeball the correlation between the variables as a preliminary step to conducting a bivariate statistical analysis. figure on your screen presents a scatter plot or a scatter diagram of two variables: sex ratio, number of women per 1000 men on the x-axis, and population size on the y-axis for the sample of 9 of India's most populous states according to the census data from the 2011. The states are Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Bihar, West Bengal, Andhra Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Rajasthan and Karnataka in descending orders of population. The scatter plots give us the added benefit of identifying outliers. In the scatter plot, we see no evident trend. Higher sex ratios appear to be correlated with lower populations as well as with higher populations, with the exception of UP, which is an outlier in that it has a high population but the lowest sex ratio. This is not an observation that we could have made by reading the tables only. Bar graphs, pie charts, line graphs and scatter plots represent the most common ways that data is presented visually by researchers in journal articles, and these are the simplest form of data visualization. In addition to visual representation of data, conference presentations as well as poster presentations carry additional arresting visual representations known as infographics also. Now let us examine this popular method of visual representation both in the academic and market research communities. Infographics. According to Malden 2015, infographics at the most basic level are two-dimensional images that represent or convey information in an easily understandable form. These images are popular in newspapers, magazines and news websites. The word infographic stands for information graphics. Researchers Lee and Kim in 2016 examined the effects of infographics on news elaboration, acquisition and evaluation and found that infographics led to greater active processing of the news story. And infographics are different from the data visualizations. Infographics may or may not use data, but they can be used to explain processes or information in vivid detail, whereas data visualization is essentially a way to visually represent and present the data. Thus, as communication researchers, we have an opportunity to use infographics in our posters or conference presentations to explain concepts, models, theories, or even the method or process used in our research studies. And we can also embed data visualization alongside the infographics in our posters for the poster sessions as well. Increasingly, international conferences which feature poster sessions are beginning to offer prizes for the best designed posters, providing us an incentive to find the most interesting ways to present our research using the two-dimensional visual format. Lanko in 2012 identified two approaches to infographic design. Lanko and others in 2012 identified two approaches to infographic design: a primarily explorative approach that is favored by academic researchers and data analysts, which is minimalist and presents data and other information in a straightforward manner. A narrative approach that is used in non-research publications such as in marketing contexts and is more illustrative, design focused and aims to entertain in addition to being informative. So according to Lanko and others in 2012, depending on the objective for which the infographic is being designed, such as academic, marketing or editorial, different levels of comprehension, retention and appeal are given the most importance. For instance, an infographic being designed with an academic objective in mind would focus on the highest levels of comprehension and retention, but would not necessarily be high on appeal. Whereas marketing infographics, on the other hand, would focus on appeal and retention at the cost of comprehension, and editorial infographics would value appeal and comprehension over retention. Audience appropriateness and content appropriateness are the two elements to be borne in mind while designing the infographics, along with the sequence of information to be followed, the hierarchy of the importance of different parts of that information, and the context that helps the reader connect with what she is reading. The example would be the Indian news critic website newslaundry.com has created a memorable resource for media students through the use of infographics for its story on media ownership in India. While the logos of all the media vehicles owned by a particular media company provides an easy mnemonic for the staggering reach of these media companies through their various brands, long arrows on each page connect the individuals who own stakes in these companies and reveal family and other relationships that reveal cross ownership within these conglomerates. The infographic excellently illustrates the power of the infographic, and we find that a large amount of information is organized into clusters, and connections between the different clusters are revealed by laying out the information visually rather in the form of text in tables. Chart junk is a term used by the renowned data visualization researcher Tufte in 2001 to describe the unnecessary graphic elements used in infographics that do not add any information but are used for their decorative value. So, several free online tools such as Easel, Creately, Info.gram and PictoChart are available to create infographics. Let us now discuss the data visualization. As Kirk in 2012 notes, almost everything we do involves a digital consequences. Our lives are constantly being recorded and quantified. These large amounts of data are a gold mine for both academic and market researchers and are popularly referred to as the big data. Precisely because of its vast nature, this data has not been summarized and analyzed, and the results presented to a number of decision makers including corporations, policymakers and the researchers. This has resulted in the growth of data visualization. According to Azam and other researchers in 2013, data visualization is a process that is based on qualitative or quantitative data and results in an image that is representative of the raw data, which is readable by viewers and supports exploration, examination and communication of the data. Word clouds are a popular method of displaying qualitative data, especially the recurrence of words and phrases. So, several free online tools exist that allow us to upload text and generate word clouds that reveal how some words reoccur. Bubble charts use different size bubbles to show differences between various categories of the variables. Phrase nets, interactive phrase trees and social network maps are all data visualization methods that are beginning to be used in academia and the industry. Tableau Public, Mapbox, Panopticon, Tibco, Spotfire and Cognos are free and paid online tools that can be used for data visualization. So let us now try and summarize what we discussed in the lecture so far. We learned how to use visuals in the form of infographics and simple data visualization techniques such as bar graphs, line graphs, pie charts and scatter plots to present the findings from our data analysis in research journals, conference presentations and poster presentations. We also learned that infographics can be exploratory or narrative in approach, and based on the communication purpose, different levels of comprehension, retention and appeal are used in creating these infographics. Even the simple data visualization techniques allow researchers to view the data differently and uncover patterns that are not revealed through mere tables. We discovered that there are a large number of free online tools that help us visualize both qualitative and quantitative data. Do attempt the questions in the self-evaluative quadrant, and for further reading suggestions, please refer to the third quadrant also. Thank you.